Today we're going to continue with our building blocks activity by creating a solid model of one of our puzzle cube pieces. Our next challenge in this activity is to create a 3D representation of one of those puzzle cube parts seen below. You can decide which puzzle cube part you would like to model, but you will only need to complete one of those parts shown below. Here you will see a representation of one of the puzzle cube parts already made in GeoGebra. Now, in order to make this puzzle cube part, you're going to need to follow the creating your solid model instructions down below. A couple things to keep in mind is that we are going to be starting with our 2D graphics window, and we are going to be creating our square based off of the 1, 0 coordinates, 1, 1, 0, 1, and 0, 0. You are going to be changing the color and the opacity of your shape. The color can be whatever you would like, but the opacity needs to be 100% of the square. Once you are done, you're going to make sure that you complete this in the 3D graphics window and make sure that the colors as well as the opacity match. Now, in order to get into your GeoGebra, you're going to need to click on the GeoGebra link down below. Once your GeoGebra window opens up, we should be able to go ahead and create that two-dimensional square using the coordinates that were given to us. Right now, we can see that we still have our algebra window opened up on the left-hand side, as well as the 2D graphics window. Once we create that 2D base to our square, then we can open up the 3D graphics window and continue on from there. So let's go ahead and create that two-dimensional shape. And in order to do this, I'm going to zoom in so that we can see those whole numbers. I want to be able to see 1, 2, 3, and so on. And once I'm there, I'm going to go ahead and click on that polygon tool. Once I select the polygon tool, I'm going to select polygon. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and plot those coordinates. So the first coordinate I should be adding is going to be 1, 0. Then I'm going to go up to 1, 1. Then 0, 1. And then 0, 0. Remember that once you complete that shape, it's still looking for an additional side. We got to still create that bottom side. So in order to end your polygon, we need to go back to that first ordered pair. So I'm going to go back to that first point I created and go ahead and click, and that should lock my square in. Now that I have that square locked in, I need to go ahead and change that color. Now remember, I still have that polygon tool, so I'm going to need to put it down by selecting the move tool and selecting that shape. Once that shape is highlighted, we can go up to my styles bar. And if you don't see it, remember you may have to click on that little styles bar. And I'm going to select a color that I want to use. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and select green. And I'm going to change the opacity to 100%. Now to me, that might be a little bit dark. So let's go find a different color. I'm going to stick with purple for this one. Now that I've created that two-dimensional shape, I can go and select that move tool and lock it in. And now we're ready to go ahead and create the three-dimensional part of this. In order to do this, I need to go up to that menu bar. And from my event menu bar, I'm going to need to go and select view. So if you don't see it right off the beginning, just go ahead down, find view, and we're going to go ahead and click on 3D graphics. That'll open up that 3D graphics window where now we can see the two-dimensional shape as well as what our three-dimensional shape will eventually look like. Now I'm going to go back up to my styles bar and I'm going to add those grid lines so that I can see them as well. We're pretty much done with the 2D graphics for right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and slide that guy over. And I'm going to want to be able to zoom in a little bit so that I can see that base. From here, I need to go ahead and create one of the cubes that you would see in that puzzle cube part. So I'm going to go back up to my move tool. I'm going to make sure I click in the 3D graphics window because that's going to give me a new toolbar. And I'm going to select this pyramid tool. Now, just as we did in the previous activity, we used that extrude to pyramid. In this case, we want to go ahead and use the extrude to prism. Once you select the extrude to prism, what we're going to need to do is select this object. Now, notice that the color is still set to a pink. Once I click on this, it's going to ask me for an altitude. We're only using increments of 1, so we're going to keep the altitude at 1 and select OK. That's going to bring my cube up, but it's a pinkish color yet. I need to change that color before I click anywhere else. So I'm sticking with purple, and I'm going to go back and change that purple color so that it's 100% opacity. Now, it may look a little darker than what we think it should be showing, but Once we select the Move tool, it's going to go back to that original color. So right now I've created just one of the cubes of my puzzle cube part. So here you can see, if we look at some of these pieces, you can see how many cubes you would actually need. In this case, we're going to need a total of 6 cubes, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and make the letter T for this example here. So we need to go ahead and add another block on top of this. So instead of sketching a 2-dimensional shape, I'm going to use that top profile that's already there. And I'm going to do that by going up to that extrude to prism again. I'm going to select the top of the shape, give it another altitude of 1, and there's an additional cube. Remember, go ahead and select your color, select the opacity to be 100%, and select the Move tool to lock that in place. Repeat that same process, extrude to prism, click the top, add 1, and change the color. Select the Move tool to put that in place. Now that I have the base of my letter T, I need to add 2 blocks off to the sides of these. So I'm going to go back up to that extrude to prism. I'm going to select the side of this block, give that an altitude of 1, and go ahead and change the color again. Change the opacity to 100%, select the Move tool to put that in place. Now that I have the Move tool, I can left click and turn my shape so that I can see that back side. Repeat the same steps, extrude to prism, click the side you want the block to come off, add the altitude of 1, and change the color. Change the opacity to 100% and select the Move tool to lock that in place. Here you'll see that now you have created one of the puzzle cube parts. Now for your exercise, you're going to be creating one of the 5 parts that is listed in your Schoology page. So make sure you don't create the same shape as me, but one of those 5 shapes that are listed. If you take your mouse and you hold down with the left button and you give it a little twirl, you can also see that your shape can become animated, and we can see all the different sides of that part. Once you are done, what you're going to want to do is take a screenshot not only of the 3D graphics window, but also of your 2D graphics window, and submit that to your Schoology page.